My buddy and me.
With friends like these.
To climb up a tree.
Yeah, you know.
We're the best friends you can be. My buddy and me.
Now,
Me.
more of your best morning buddies. Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey. What's brewing? With Ryan Johnston.
Well, Jaffy's going to sue you. Stole the morning brew.
It's not quite the same.
Well, no, it is. It's the same concept. You're using brew for Bruins, and you're talking about hockey in the morning. I'm sorry, Billy. That's Adam's fault. Oh, he's going to be mad. Remember how pissed Billy would get when I made fun of the Morning Brew logo?
Steam would come off his head.
He did not care for that.
No, not a big fan.
Because he was like, he'd already made the stuff, so he was like all like pissed off.
You spent, 20 minutes telling him how bad the logo was, and he was not happy.
I was trying to be constructive. I was like, it doesn't really make sense.
I can tell you sitting over here, he did not take it that way.
It's your tone.
Sometimes you want a friend to be honest with you. It wasn't like I said it's a good show. I don't understand like the logo. It was just the logo, not even the name. I didn't understand the logo. BRU, Morning Brew.
Right.
It doesn't identify itself in print as being about the Bruins.
He came in with water bottles for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the logo. But that's easy to fix. It's the concept and everything is good. It was just the logo. But I think they had already invested a lot into the logo. You should have cleared it with me first. Really. Everyone should probably clear things with me first, get my opinion, before they start running with a full run out. You know what I'm saying?
If only Forsberg had called you.
Well, thank God that Hardy texted him. That got us a great segment with 2 segments with him. It's all because Hardy texted him and he said that ridiculous thing Forsberg did. You know? I love that he stuck with it. I love that he hung in there. I mean, that made it great. And he knows what he's talking about. It just, he was like he was dying on the hill.
He believes it.
He was like dying on the hill that starting those 5 guys was a good decision. In hindsight. He'd go, well, in hindsight. He'd go, yeah, in hindsight. It was a bad decision.
Yeah.
And then he would go, well, no. Well, you just said in hindsight. It was almost a study in how not to operate.
Only based on the final score of the season-ending game.
And then it was fun to go through every game and see that the Celtics had won every first quarter except for Game 7.
Right.
So it arguably was a bad decision. It's more of a societal thing. When there's something is true, whether you like it or not, or you don't like the way that it got there, it is that way, and it needs to be dealt with. But then there's like, well, this happened because of this. Yeah. Good. But it's happening. So we have to deal with what's happening. But it wouldn't have happened if this. Yeah. Fantastic. Argument for another day. But we have to tackle the problem.
And I know what he was talking about, like in those first quarters too, because the starters would start cold, and then like Shireman came in, was the first one to hit a 3-pointer. I think it was in Game 5, and like that happens. But another one of those guys that came in and hit something was Pritchard. And Pritchard, if you're going to start non-starters, how about you make Pritchard one of them? That would have been that. I almost would have been okay with it if he had been one of those guys out there on the court, but he wasn't.
Can I tell you one thing about just an example of like when you go, okay, well, Shireman came in and he would say the argument is Shireman came in and would hit shots off the bench. Well, that was working. It's like my son, he gets like learning support at his school, and the school said, he's doing really well. Why don't you get rid of the learning support? And I went, wait a second. He's doing really well with learning support. Why would I get rid of the learning support? Got 1 year left after this year. I say, if he's doing well, don't change a thing. Why are you messing with it?
Yeah.
It's like a $1,500. I'll pay $1,500 if it helps him do better in school.
Can't have money.
Man, I shouldn't have said that. Now everyone's gonna know. I'm rolling.
Hitting you up for loans.
Maybe that ain't nothing but you should be up making breakfast anyway. Ryan Johnston is the voice of the Boston Bruins on the 98.5 The Sports Hub. Hello, Ryan.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, dude?
You must be feeling pretty good. I mean, it's like the Bruins put together what I would say would be a representative effort in their final game of the season, and it was a decent game to watch. It didn't end in catastrophe like it did for another local team here.
Yeah, it's a little tougher to end in catastrophe when you're not the favorite by a mile in the series.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bruins were the underdog in the series. We talked about it on the hockey show the day after Game 6 and the final game. It was a winnable series, and so there's some disappointment there. Had the Bruins, played better defensively, had they gotten to their game in some of these games a little bit earlier. You blew game 1. I mean, there's no getting around that one. It was a winnable series, so there's some disappointment there. But it's not like you were by far the favorite in the series and let it get away.
And when you look at first of all, we can just talk about very quickly what happened yesterday with the draft lottery. And where the Bruins are in terms of Toronto and Florida and these picks. Where does it stand now?
It stands. Looks like that we're waiting a couple more years for that Toronto draft pick. There was some talk yesterday about the NHL apparently still might need to clarify exactly who gets the 2027 first round pick from the Maple Leafs, because the Flyers are involved, and the Flyers seem to think that regardless of conditions, that pick belongs to them. Now that Toronto got a top 5 pick and got the first overall pick, I can't wait to the Bruins have a press conference today with management. I assume I'll run into my partner there, and I can't wait to talk to him about it, because he's been saying for weeks and maybe months that the NHL would figure out a way to make sure that Toronto got to keep that pick. So when they pulled that ping pong ball number 12 last night and said Toronto's got the number 1 overall pick, it's like, oh yeah, I should know to trust Beersy. He's been around long enough to know how these things work.
But isn't it the most Toronto way to get the number 1 pick too? The year where the kid might be going to jail, that's the number 1 overall pick. Like there's always a catch with Toronto.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, the fact that, the introductory press conference for their new GM and whatever Matt Sundin's title is, senior advisor or whatever, did not exactly go smoothly. Their choice for the new GM has a really strange past and would not necessarily, I don't think, have been at the top of most teams' lists. Now that you got Austin Matthews reportedly, talking about how he doesn't even know if he wants to commit to the team for this year, even though he's got 2 years left on his contract. There's a lot of, as there always is, a lot of drama going on up in Toronto, and now you add this into the mix. It's like, okay, do they blow it up and start over with Gavin McKenna this year, or do they, try and work him into the mix with some of the stars they've already got and hope that makes them instantly better? I'm really interested to see what direction they go, because it now directly impacts the futures of the Bruins and the Flyers here about where they wind up in the draft in the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, I'm all for the blow-up scenario there, Ryan. If they're bad for a couple of years, that benefits the Bruins. If not next year, then in 28. And the guy's name is John Chayka, right? Their new GM? Yeah. Chayka, Fred was in charge of the Arizona Coyotes, and he got them fined, and they lost a couple of draft picks. And at the introductory press conference, there was a guy who writes for the Toronto Star or TSN or whatever, basically told the owner he was out of his mind in front of everyone. Told the owner he was out of his mind for hiring him.
So he pointed out, the team says, we've done, our due diligence and, talked to people around the league. And the reporter says, and I he's a little bit of a flamethrower, I guess, up there. But he says, I contacted like 20 people around the league, and 19 of them couldn't believe that you were considering this guy.
This is in front of him, right to him.
Yeah,
he said this.
I mean, as they're sitting there, and he says, what do you respond to that? And he's like, well, I guess you talked to different people than I did. And I mean, that was essentially the answer. There's been some questions about how Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, who's the ownership group up there, has run that franchise for years, and this is likely going to add a whole lot of fuel to that fire.
Yeah, it's the only thing that they get mad about. is the Maple Leafs. The only thing that they're willing to confront is the Maple Leafs. It's the one pass that Canadians give themselves to get angry. It's about the Maple Leafs. Yes, Jonathan.
I wanted to get back to the Bruins and ask Ryan a couple of questions about what happens next year. Obviously, Hampus Lindholm always seems to be hurt. Nikita Zadorov is going to come off some major surgery, and they have a little.
I don't know, John.
Oh, is that right? According to Zadorov, the MSL was off the bone.
Breakup day, he said that he was supposed to be meeting with doctors, I think maybe today or yesterday. So we don't know what the final decision was. But as of breakup day on Sunday morning, he said that it did not appear that surgery was going to be required.
Okay, well, the overall point is the Bruins need help. They need help up front and maybe another defenseman. I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
Well, I would say they probably need multiple defensemen, depending on what Andrew Peake's future is here. He's an unrestricted free agent. But, you look at what you've got on the right side defensively. You've got McAvoy, essentially. And beyond that, Peake's an unrestricted free agent. You've got Henry Jokiharju, who they weren't exactly chomping at the bit to get him into the lineup. I know he played the last two games of the playoffs, but they for most of the second half of the season or post Olympics, they had Mason Lohrei as a lefty playing on that right side ahead of Jokiharju. Jordan Harris, who's a lefty, got into the lineup over Jokiharju earlier in the series. So it's pretty clear to me that they're not thrilled with where he's at. We don't know what the long-term future of Mason Lohrei is. He's got one more year left on his contract. He was better on the right side than he was on the left. But is that a long-term fit for him, and how do they look at that? So you could make the argument that they probably need to find two right-shot defensemen this offseason to bolster things, and that one of them needs to be a legit top four guy who can play alongside Hampus Lindholm and give you, I thought McAvoy and Aspero, there were certainly some bumps during the postseason, but by and large, that was a really good pairing for you and allowed McAvoy to kind of open up his game and be better offensively throughout the course of the season. So I think, that pairing together, seemed to work pretty well. But now you've got to find a legit complement to Hampus Lindholm on that second pair. And then, who's Zadorov's partner going forward on the third pairing? I mean, there's a lot to be sorted out there. And yeah, they're going to need to find some help up front too. They didn't score enough in this series against Buffalo. That is, that certainly needs to be dealt with. Where's Hagen's going to be at the start of training camp and at the start of the season next year? Is he going to be ready for a full 82 game season? You've got to figure out, is Victor Arvidsson sticking around? And if so, what does that contract look like? There's definitely some holes that need to be filled. As good as this season was, and as much as they beat expectations, if you're going to be able to continue to compete next year for a playoff spot, this is a really deep division, and you would expect that Florida's going to be better next year after a full offseason. And guys will be healthy. Ottawa's not going away. Detroit probably should have made the playoffs this year and collapsed down the stretch. They should be right back in the mix next year. Just about every team in the Atlantic Division you can point to and say that team's legit playoff contender next year. So the Bruins are going to have to continue to improve themselves this year if they're going to stay in that mix.
Do you have any knowledge or understanding of what the market is like right now? If the Bruins were trying to get that top four defenseman, or even what it's been like in the last few years, like how tough a task would that be?
Yeah, I haven't really sat down to look too much at it, but from what I have heard and what I have read, it's not a great free agent market this year. So they might have to get creative and swing some trades. We know that they were interested in Rasmus Anderson at one point before that deal got done and sent him to Vegas. Does that come back on the table because he hasn't signed there yet? And that may not get done. There are some other players that we heard about that they were involved in trade talks. Do those heat up again as we get closer to the draft? That's always a possibility. Rasmus Ristolainen was another guy down in Philadelphia that that they were interested in at the deadline. So there are guys that maybe you've looked at in the past, or that you've had discussions about in the past that didn't come to fruition, that maybe come to fruition here going forward. And that's where, listen, the Bruins have, they've got some draft capital going forward here. They've got some guys now in the pipeline that, potentially could be used to accelerate this thing a little bit. If you're not looking to wait for Letourneau or Zellers or some of those guys to establish themselves and come forward, that maybe they turn into trade bait. Maybe we talked about Mason Lohrei. Is that a guy that might get some interest around the league from teams that are looking for a more offensive minded defenseman? That there are a number of different ways that you could potentially go with that, but it seems like the trade route is probably going to have to be at least explored in some of these areas, because the real heavy duty free agents aren't necessarily going to be there.
All right. Well, Ryan Johnston, excellent job this season. Sorry that it ended as early as it did, but listen, we got bonus hockey if you look at it that way anyway. Who thought they were going to make the playoffs? And Ryan, this year was a hell of a lot more exciting in my job than my first year was. So I can't complain at all. We got some playoff games, we got meaningful hockey down the stretch, and got to see some fun things this year. All right, are you going to be filling in this week by any chance?
This week? No.
Okay.
I have not been asked. I was approached about my first fill in the other day, and it was a day that I couldn't do. But I will, I'm sure, be seeing you guys, and some of you at least, in studio here at some point during the summer.
One of you guys gone this week on Friday?
A week from Friday.
Oh, a week from Friday. You can't do a week from Friday.
That was the day I couldn't. Yeah, they asked me, and I was not available for that one.
Oh, we were waiting on you. We were seeing if the Bruins
John,
got
take
eliminated.
as much time off as you need. I'll be
okay.
All right, Ryan. It's a little disappointing that you let us down. All right. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate it. See you soon.
Always a pleasure, guys.
All right, buddy.
See
you soon. There you go. The great Ryan Johnston. We'll be back with our award-winning and always ever popular and very, very...
And Forsberg heavy.
Very Forsberg
segment.
heavy, yes.
And also, I would like to, since it's topical, Grandy was on the Joe Show yesterday, and maybe we'll play that clip for the people today. Just a moment.
What's up?
I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Which is always brought to you by our good friends. Jeffrey Glassman injury lawyers. If you've been hurt in a car or work accident, you have to get Glassman. You got to get Glassman. Don't just send an email. Call all sevens. It's 617-777-7777. That's all sevens. Or visit gottagetglassman.com. Well, before we get to our emails, where you can email us, find our email addresses at 985thesportshub.com. Follow us on social media at Toucher and Hardy, at Hardy985, or exclusively on Instagram, which I forget I can post on it for large chunks of time, at Fred Toucher. But to Sean Grandy, Benedict Arnold, Joe Murray it was like that Brady Bunch episode where Oliver was Benedict Arnold. I don't know if you recall that one.
No.
The dead Oliver years of the Brady Bunch. They tried to force him in until they gave him a spin-off with the other foster kids. But nonetheless...
He also had the incident with the ketchup. He's trying to get the ketchup out. I know how to get the ketchup out, and then boom, all over one of his cousin's shirts.
That has to be the Jinx episode. What is it?
That's not the Benedict Arnold. That was the Jinx.
Yeah, that was the Jinx. Benedict Arnold, he'd narked on him, but then I think they ended up winning a trip to... He was the lucky kid that got them into the movie studio where they got to pretend they were in the Old West, which every high school kid would be dying to do. To get with their siblings and pretend that they were in an Old West movie. They'd get into the spirit of things and start hamming it up.
And in terms of like a walk-on role, it was pretty involved. There was blocking, there were stunts, there was a lot going on.
Well, listen, I mean, when the kids buy in like that, you got to let them, it's yes and, that's what they were doing. All right, so anyway, Sean Grandy was on with Joe, and here is a sample of their conversation. They hated Sean Grande. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm also of the belief, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but I do believe the Knicks were going to win. If the Celtics had advanced, I thought the Knicks were going to win the series.
Do you think that he would have relayed that to the people had the Knicks played the Celtics?
No.
Yeah, from the jump, probably in the preamble of Game 1.
You know, he would have told you how stupid you were for thinking that the Knicks would have beat the Celtics.
This year, they were a lot better equipped to beat the Celtics this year than they were last year.
Well, I appreciate you answering those questions because some people on the station aren't happy about the gap year and the house money stuff because championships, as you said, are all that matters. But I'm glad you at least cleared the air right here.
Well, because here's the point, Joe. Other people that you are maybe talking about, we all know who you're talking about.
Fred Toucher. Me. Me. I'm the one they're talking about. I like that. You got to talk about me. Again,
talk about me in any way. That doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, no press is bad press. I'll tell you this, is that what he's referring to is Sean said all year.
Stop getting excited about this team and enjoy the house money year.
All year, he talked down to invisible forces that were saying the Celtics were having going to have a down year. He did it all consistently throughout the entire season, 82 games, and then into the playoffs. And then literally within minutes of them losing that Game 7, he said this was all house money. You understand that you cannot give me an explanation that justifies your whole shtick for the entirety of your broadcasting year being a narrative which then flips on its head the moment that doesn't come true. The sincere thing to do would be express disappointment at the loss and say, boy, that's going to hurt this offseason. But that is almost impossible, it seems. It's, again, it's almost mind-boggling that you could spend an entire year saying something. Like when I thought Jason Tatum wasn't going to be good and that they should have taken that kid from Florida State. I don't
Jonathan
even
Isaac.
I was wrong.
Yes, you were.
That wasn't so tough.
Whoops.
Yeah, I gave an opinion that was wrong. Now, was that a narrative for an entire year? No, there's probably like a month or 2 weeks. How often do we get in the NBA draft? Let's say it was a week or two. I was dead wrong. What are you going to do? That wasn't so hard. But to just flip seems disingenuous, insincere at the best. Intellectually dishonest, which I'm very fond of saying.
Yeah, that's your phrase of the day.
My father's in town.
Yeah.
Intellectually dishonest.
Uh-oh. But I'm glad you at least cleared the air right here.
Well, because here's the point, Joe. Other people that you are maybe talking about, we all know who you're talking about. It's no fun to sit in that seat for 4 hours every day and say, wow, the Celtics are unbelievably so much better than we thought we were going to be.
Yeah, it was really terrible. I was dogging them all season. He's hit the nail on the head. Is he talking about Felger? Does he even know I'm here?
I think he knows you're here. He might be talking about Felger.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, it might be.
Oh, he's not even talking about me.
Well, I don't know. We haven't finished the interview yet. There might be more.
I got him eating up time.
We got
baby.
Okay,
all right.
50 emails here to do.
Okay. Don't attack me.
Say, wow, the Celtics are unbelievably so much better than we thought we were going to be. That's no fun. So you got to build up the expectations to tear them down. That's being a master of the dark arts, and that's what is supposed to happen. Everybody's supposed to do their job, and that's the job that a lot of people have. But in real life, it is absurd to suggest that the Celtics didn't outrageously overachieve.
But you suggested that it was absurd to think that they wouldn't achieve. Is anyone disagreeing with this?
And everybody called it a gap year at the start, and then I started doing it satirically.
Yeah, he was satirically saying it was a gap year to say to showcase how impossibly dumb it was to say that. What the hell's he doing?
I don't know.
He's not very bright. And I don't like that he wasn't talking about me. And I don't like that I was told he was talking about me.
Oh, boy.
It seems like he's only got Felger on his mind. No matter how much I try to get his attention by making fun of him, he will not pay any attention to me.
Fred,
am I going to have to come knock on his door to get him to look at me?
Maybe
hello?
Just get him in studio.
I exist.
Yeah. Fred, hello. Just get him in studio. Have you guys have a face-to-face.
I don't want him in studio. I don't like that he did that. It really bugs me.
Oh.
All of the all of the emails we got about Forsberg, I don't have time to read them all. You can just do the subject lines. Crazy Forsberg, worst take ever. Jesus Forsberg. That kind of gives you a sense of where these are going.
What the F is one that I got.
Yeah. And then, the body of one just said all of Chris's justifications are BS.
Okay, so what Chris did, again, I'll explain in case you're just joining us, is that Chris came in. Hardy had been texting with him at the beginning of Game 7 going, what the hell's going on with this lineup? And Chris liked the lineup at the time. He thought they needed to do something. He liked it. Fine. That's, again, an opinion. Opinions can be wrong. But then he came in studio and he said that he still liked it. And we said, well, it didn't work. And he wouldn't back down. And he said, well, if this happened and this happened, and said, yeah. But this did happen. He kept trying to push it down the game. And then he said that the starters had been so inefficient. So I went through every first quarter. And the Celtics, the only first quarter they didn't win was Game 7.
Yes.
Then he started arguing against that and saying it was later in the first quarter that they won. So I went through every game log, or as much as I could in real time, and saw that the most I could have seen them down by, say, 3-4 minutes into a game was 6 or 7. And my daughter really dug that into my brain.
Yeah.
But he would not move, and it was genius because he bought himself another paid week of appearance.
So I got an email here, and I like this analogy because I thought of it, so I like it. And then, Don and I are thinking of the same thing here because we talked about not only Mazzulla's decision, but, the backing up and not coming off of it and how you can recover from things like this as a coach, like a really boneheaded decision, but it doesn't necessarily mean the end of your career. Now, what one play did I think of in terms of a really boneheaded coach's decision that decided the ultimate game?
Other than the starting lineup?
That would be Pete Carroll's decision to throw the ball in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Right? It was like just a coaching decision. So Don said Mazzulla's decision for that Group of 5 start in Game 7 elimination game, while not as insanely stupid as Pete Carroll's decision, is certainly worthy of being mentioned in the same breath. I just wish someone in the local press asked that at a press conference. Well, they're not going to mix the two sports and go back to that.
Incredibly antagonistic to go.
Yeah.
Here's one of the great coaching mistakes in sports history. I'm relating that to what you did. That's leading him in a way just to piss him off.
And the only time I really heard Carroll not back off of it is this clip of him talking about it in an interview sometime later. And he said, the play, it does work. It's called Halo. And, he started talking about the play. I'm like, dude, you had a pretty decent running back. You could have just run Marshawn Lynch into the end zone and just finish the game.
Mm-hmm. But Russell Wilson's an all-time great. We've seen that.
That's true. That's true.
By the way, he's going to be broadcasting next year, even though the Jets brought him in.
Oh, that's too bad. He didn't want to be the backup.
Nope. I don't think that's what happened. I will even give them credit and I think Russell Wilson would have gladly been a backup. I don't think they wanted him. I have a feeling he's the kind of guy you sit down with and he would only change your opinion to the negative.
Is Russell Wilson the type of guy that demands that on TV people call him Mr. Unlimited?
I don't know why you'd put him on TV unless it's like a stunt to get people to not like him, in a way that you think that the way that they don't like him, because he's like a try-hard nerd. Really is the best he really is a nerd. And that's not me just even analyzing him in the press, which he is a total, almost total lack of self-awareness nerd. But the way he was handled in Seattle is that the defense, which was, very charismatic and had a swagger to it, would really get on him in practice. And Carroll had to tell them, please stop. You're hurting the boy's feelings.
Wrecking his confidence.
You're hurting the young man's feelings. All right. Adam is adamant that we break right now because there is a chance. If Brad Stevens comes on before 10, we ain't taking it. But if he comes on at 10, the midday show will be taking it. So it's very important we're out of here if he does not come on at 7:53. So they can take Brad Stevens live, and we will be team players, and we will do such things. So here are the headlines.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy, and real quick, there's an interview with, or like an article interviewing Jason Whitlock, which isn't, from what I've read, even that dumb. Like, he's talking to like industry people, so he's not being outrageous for the sake of being outrageous. But this is a funny line to me. Whitlock has experienced both sides of sports media. He's a former Division I football player, so he's been on the other side of the media. Like, he's been that athlete being grilled by the media. Would you like to know where he played football? Ball State University.
Oh.
And I mean, I can tell you, I can only imagine the pressure on the Ball State football team to deliver in front of that media horde.
David Letterman's alma mater.
He had a scholarship for real for C students. You had to be a C student to get his scholarship to go to Ball State, which is brilliant.
Mm-hmm. We didn't get to the reaction from the draft lottery last night, which sounded like this.
It comes down to one bouncing ball. Who gets the first pick of the draft?
Draw. 12. Number 12.
The number 12. The Toronto Maple Leafs have won the NHL draft lottery, and Matt Sundin is smiling ear to ear.
Mm-hmm. Well, as that was going on, one Joe Murray was on the air and watching it happen.
So 12 is the one that's indicated as the one that Toronto, if they get 12, it's not. Oh my God! The porking!
Let's not make that a thing. Let's stop with the term. You know I don't like that joke.
Yes, I am well aware.
The porking live on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and the Toronto Maple Leaf GM is happy and smiling, and the porking live right here. Can you believe that?
No, it's the word is the F word, which you can't say on the air. But porking is a very poor substitute for that. I don't like that.
The porking live.
No.
I don't know what to do.
Well, go about your business. Go about your day. This shouldn't affect you that much.
Whatever you have to. That's right. That's from our May the 4th be with you bit. All right. So there is a.
What did Chewbacca sound like in that bit? That was J. Stu Chewbacca.
Yeah. What did the Ewok say?
What did our engineer that no one knows what he looks like, but it's really funny if you do sound like?
Cody Cha Tagoo, Yub Nub. Cody Cha Tagoo, Yawa. Yub Nub. Yub Nub. Cody Cha Tagoo, Yub Nub. Cody Cha Tagoo, Yawa. Cody Cha Tagoo, Yacha. Hallelujah.
If you knew what he looked like, it'd be way funnier.
It's still pretty good.
Well, what's also funny about it is just how stupid Star Wars is, really, when you think about it.
What's stupid about that?
That they invented a language so they could sing that dumb song is pretty stupid. I mean, it's pretty dumb, right? Like from a distance, and it's all funny because we all grew up thinking that we liked it.
Yeah.
Even though we probably didn't really see it, maybe once, but we thought we liked it. But now that when you go back, you're like, what the hell was the big fuss about? You know?
It's all the different languages they invented.
Han, Mabuki, Kili, Kalia, Kuka. Gino, Waba, Muba, Outmion, Nucha, Jedi.
We don't have the time, but do we know why he bothered doing those languages?
I don't know.
George Lucas? No,
I don't know.
No idea.
Like, was there like any payoff for
I
having
understand
those
you
languages?
prefer all of your movie language to be in the King's English.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
All right, we got to go early because we're being nice, and they can get to Brad Stevens, who was so boring I didn't even want him as a guest anymore. So I can only imagine how boring the press conference is going to be. I did not want to carry it, so I'm glad it's on a 10. What?
That was the Emperor's sign because he had so much copy to read.